Now, as per usual with this series, we left the last episode with a couple of questions in mind as to what is going to happen next. Of course, the draft was, it wasn't that great for us. I mean, it was highlighted by the addition of Xavier Bourgault from the Calgary Flames, acquiring him rather than, risking our first-round pick, which proved to be the right idea. But now the question is, we're seeing a complete change in goaltending. There are a couple of options out there, so we know we're going to make a move. Defensively, there are a couple of options out there, but it's probably going to be better to trust Bernard Docker and Lassie Thompson until proven otherwise, because Borowiecki is still on this team, and Nikita Zaitsev we're still stuck with for 2 more years. I mean, I don't really feel like giving up a top prospect to get rid of him. It's not really worth it to me. And then forward-wise, of course, we're at the point now where we really do need to try and trust the youth, or we just get rid of them. And I don't really feel like getting rid of a lot of these guys. I want to see if they can make it. So it is going to be a very interesting offseason. The biggest issue right now is that we have 1,000 forwards signed. Okay, maybe not 1,000, but we have a lot of forwards signed, so we need to cut ties with some players. And unfortunately, it's looking like it's going to be Baudin, Davidson. I'm going to keep Studnik because he's a little bit younger. Parker Kelly was really good on the 4th line last year. But yeah, there are some players that we need to cut ties with here if we can. I just don't know who I want that to be. But yeah, we need to make room to be able to sign these 2 goaltenders. Don't know who we're signing yet. We'll figure it out. There were some popular opinions. And if we're going to make a move for anybody else. So I'm thinking first guy we are going to get rid of is Jonathan Davidson, who I tried to get rid of before. J.C. Baudin, also likely on the way out. And if we look at Baudin here, he doesn't fit a 4th line role at all. So he's definitely on the outs. And Davidson doesn't really fit a 4th line role at all either. He's just going to be a pretty good AHLer for the majority of his career. I think, unfortunately, Studnik's also on the way out because guys like Puistinen are higher rated. So these are the 3 guys at the start that I want to see if we can get rid of. I doubt anybody's interested in them, and that is indeed the case. Cool. Let's go for who's up against the cap at head. Boston's perfect. They're up against the cap as it is. They need players to fill out their roster. So a 3rd rounder's probably wishful thinking. Yeah, even if it's a 4th and a 6th, that's still a pretty good deal for us. So if that goes through, I'd be happy. Okay, how about just a 4th? Whew, wow. All right, a 5th round pick in exchange for 3 dudes. There we go. So congratulations, Boston. That opens up space for you. That brings us to 45 contracts now. So let's go back to free agency. And again, we'll see who's out here. We're going to start off with goaltending because, like I mentioned, we have 2 spots. And, of course, right now, as it stands, we are at $63.9 million. We're allowed to spend up to $76. So when looking at the goaltenders, there was a crucial point here. Darcy Kemper is looking for a dirt cheap contract, and we'd be kind of dumb to ignore it, really. So we are going to send Darcy Kemper a deal. The problem is, again, I'm not allowed to offer him any more money than what he's asking for. So if somebody else comes in and offers him a little bit more, there's no way we're going to get him. But we'll see if Darcy Kemper accepts that contract. That'd be very helpful to us. And aside from that, Holtby got a decent amount of support. I'd probably say more so than Tristan Jarry, which makes sense. Jarry wants more money and is 3 points weaker. There was some support for Francouz as well. And I think the other big name that garnered some support, I mean, Nazarov is out there, but Prosvetov also garnered quite a bit of support. There are actually some decent options out there. There's a lot of medium fringe goalies. A lot of them are very low overall, though. It comes down to Prosvetov or Holtby, basically. As much as I'd love to bring in Nazarov, the only reason to bring him in would be to trade him, and I'm not going to try to fleece the AI like that. And there's just no way he's going to develop. If he was 18, he'd have a chance, but there's no way he's going to develop. So we're just going to let him go. So it's down to Holtby or Prosvetov. Prosvetov wants the 1-year deal. 6'5" at 23 years old. Let's see his numbers last year. I mean, he's been okay in Tucson. Rough year and then a good year last year. And then Braden Holtby only played in 20 games last year for Florida and was horrible. He has not been good over the first 3 seasons of this franchise mode. So it's either we bring in Prosvetov to compete with the likes of Gustafsson and Sjogard, or I feel like Prosvetov is the better option, because if Gustafsson's ready to compete for a backup spot, I'd rather have Prosvetov be the guy that sits. That's a little bit of extra cap that we might have in space. I still don't know what I want to do there. Defensively, like I mentioned, I just don't feel like paying Nurse, Ristolainen, Butcher, Petrie that much money. It just doesn't make sense. Defense is apparently coming at an extreme premium as of late, and I'm just not about it. Like, Dmitry Kolikov's looking for nothing, but we have a lot of young defensemen that can kind of, fill the role. Even Ryan Graves is looking for almost $2.5 million a season. That's just not going to happen. Now, forwards is where it's more interesting. Again, Zibanejad's out of my price range. There is Malkin for a season, although now after hopefully signing Kemper, he's now off the market for us here. Well, we could just get him. It's going to be super close. So I think someone like Malkin, Stahl, and Gusev, we need to play it safe and not go for them. But there is Duclair. There is Riley Smith. There are these good options that we could have on the third line next year, or we play the youth. And that's the issue. These guys are temporary stopgaps who we're not going to be able to afford for that much longer. Or we build up the youth, try to get them under good contracts. I mean, someone like Bjorkstrand, who we used in the San Jose series at the beginning of NHL 20, he's obviously an incredibly useful player. Bushnevich as well. It's a lot of really good value players here. And we do need to spend some money. But damn, this is a tough choice. This is a tough choice. So up to $3 million. What was it? 3.9 technically for Kemper. Yeah, 3.9 for Kemper. So we'll say we're up to $4 million then on that front. So let's just say we're at $68 million, which means I have $8 million to spend. So technically it would have to be Duclair or Smith, and then we could look at the likes of Bjorkstrand, Shaw, Bushnevich to help fill out the money role situation here. So I think I'd rather bring in Duclair, although Riley Smith might be a better fit for the team. But Duclair, of course, might help morale-wise with the team. This is tough. You know what? We're going to wait a day. Goalie-wise, I know what I'm going to do. I am going to bring in Prosvetov over Holtby, and we're going to give him a chance to compete. He does want a one-way deal, which kind of sucks. But, I mean, man, we could sign him long-term for an incredibly cheap deal here. He wants $825 now for 4 years. I'm just going to see if he'll accept that. I mean, then again, he'll be an RFA, though, so it doesn't really matter. Let's just give him what he's looking for here. We'll see what happens with those 2 contracts, and then we're going to have to make other moves still, because I need some depth defensemen. The other thing to pay attention to here, is that we need staff members. And the big question is going to be whether or not there are any improvements out there over what we already have. Mainly a generalist associate coach or assistant coach. So I think for NHL head coach, we were good. For associate coach, we're good. So we still need a generalist. And I think Neil was our guy a C-? No, he's just a C. Okay, so we're good there. The goalie coach, I'll probably just keep signed, because why not? He had a good teaching stat, right? Yes, he did. So forward defense, what we're going to do is we're going to completely rework the AHL coaching staff here, just to see who the options are that are out there. So head coach, AHL head coach, good lord. So we have Ruchin and Bonks, which would be perfect if either one of them accepted. Again, I'm not allowed to offer them more money, so hopefully one of those 2 accept. Associate coach, we have C- and then another C-. So unfortunately, we're going to be hurting in the coaching department elsewhere. So here it's, I mean, we're looking probably at a forward or a defensive specialist. God, that's rough. Let's look. Here we'll go for a defensive specialist. Let's go for Facette and Manderville. Is there another defensive? There is Kai Lettinen, who I think I just fired. Any other C- defensive coaches? I mean, somebody out of this gigantic list of coaches has to be willing to accept. I'm literally just going to send them all deals to save time. Shout out to Tyrone Nevins and Adam Franzen. We'll sign you as well. Is that it? Nope, there were more. Cool. Cool. We'll just, again, send every single person an offer. Somebody has to accept out of this list. I didn't think there'd be this many, but you know what? Due diligence. I really don't want to have to come back to this menu, is the point. So every single one of you gets the same damn offer. There are so many of them, my god. This was totally unexpected. Well, screw it. You know what? We're here. Whatever. Are we done? We're still not done. Okay, that should be enough. I'm still going, though. Johan Janssen, what a name. Dude, how many of these C- defensive specialist coaches are there? A ton is the answer. And then for here, we need forward. Unfortunately, this means we are not going to have a very good staff here in the AHL, but that's kind of the point, I suppose, is to not completely abuse the scouting system or the coaching system. Carl Kirka, great name. Okay. I think... Okay, we have two more. We got Sauvé in there, and good old Martina Saget. And from there, we just need a goalie coach. And that is going to be... let's go for you. Chloe Paris. You are the best option that we have. I think I still need to sign scouts, though. Damn it. Hold on. So, what scouts do we have already? 4 regions. So, I need nothing. We are actually good in terms of scouting. I don't need anybody. I mean, you could argue better options. So it's like, for example, is there a better QMJHL scout, someone who's better than a C? And the answer is yes. So if I could get Eva LaBelle, that would be tremendous news for me. I suppose I could fire everybody, but then it's a bit of a risk. So let's see, there's also US West and East. I need better Euro scouts. I need a better Russian scout. So, let's see. USA. Yeah, see, there are better options. I think any of the C-rated scouts we're going to fire really quickly. So I need 2 US scouts. Go ahead and do that. We have to actually put a little bit more time into the coaching staff here, but we need 2 US scouts. So we're going to go for Vlasic. And no former NHLers. We'll go for Rohan Milson. And then I think, yeah, we only have C's for 3 out of the 4 European scouts. In fairness, that's all that's out there. And in Scandinavia, there are 2 A's, and in Russia, there's a B-. So Scandinavia with 2 A's. We will go ahead and fire those 2. Again, we don't even really necessarily need an Allsvenskan scout, but it's just for the hell of it. And then Tikhonov's there too. So, Scandinavia will get the 2 A-minuses, I hope. And for Russia, we'll hopefully get Gonchar, and then that should do it for the scouting. So what we're going to do is just kind of sim a day here, and we'll see what happens mainly with Kemper and everyone else who's available, and whether or not people are getting offers. So Ruchin signed on. That's good news. Again, we're going to have a lot of these rejections. So Kai Lettinen is back. in about a week, I'll check to see if we've actually filled out this coaching staff properly. Because I don't know if we have or not. Obviously, with this many rejections, I don't remember. I know it tells you, but I'm just saying I don't remember who was there and who wasn't. It's fine. Oh, boy. Yep, this is this is what I was afraid of, but hey, what are you going to do? I don't like the size of your team's market. Cool. Way to just shit all over Belleville, man. What did Belleville ever do to you? I think Miss Saget rejected, but Paris accepted, which is good. And now we get the scouts. Well, at least they're accepting relatively quickly. So free agent-wise, let's just see. Nobody would have signed yet. But in terms of the offers on forwards, let's see. I'm still going to go UFA only. So Duclair and Smith still don't have offers on the table, nor do Bjorkstrand, Bushnevich. So we could potentially be okay. We'll sim another day. Huey rejects, which is fine. Let's go ahead and get through all of that. More of these scouts. I don't think we had a single scout reject, which is pretty nice. Okay. So quickly, let me just make sure. I do know I need to get rid of other forwards. So let me see who's out there. $28 million in cap space, and most of it's going to go to waste. So I want to keep Howerluck around for the moment. Boy, who the hell do we get rid of at this point? Who the hell do we get rid of at this point? I know I need to sign Mann as well. I might just do that when his contract's up. Although he would be on an exempt list right now. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And then 1, 2, 3. Well, Borgo doesn't count. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So 2 people over in terms of forwards. 2 forwards have to go. And I think I'm leaning towards Harkins and somebody out of this group here. Let's look at Puiston and let's look at Kamano. And Puiston has that offensive touch. He just can't play defense and he's not that physical. And then Kamano definitely fits more of a grinder role. I think I'm going to move on from Puiston because we're just never going to really be able to get him into that more offensive role. He's just too low on the depth chart. So we'll try a 4th round pick next year. Perfect. Had to trade away some people, but hey, you got to spend money to make money. It's going to piss off some teammates, but that's okay. So forward-wise, again, we have 2 spots on the team. Really, if we sign any of these forwards, we have to look at moving even more forwards to bring in defensemen. So Duclair has an offer at 4.5. You have Riley Smith there as well. Bjorkstrand at 2. I mean, we're at $64 million. I mean, I do need to get up to 76. So we do have to throw some money out there. I don't know how I want to do that. We do need some AHL defensemen. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens first with Kemper, because that's going to dictate quite a few things. So Prosvetov signs. What about Darcy? Kemper signs. Okay, so we have our goaltending set up with Kemper and Prosvetov both signed. Elsewhere, Ryan Graves went to Florida. Anisimov goes to his 3rd team in as many years. Stahl goes to Pittsburgh. Russ to Vegas. Petrie back to Edmonton. Ristolainen to Minnesota. Butcher to Pittsburgh. Werenski back to Columbus. Gusev went to Arizona for 7 years. Nurse to the Islanders. Anaheim has an offer sheet in on Philip Zadina. Tampa resigns Braden Point. Zibanejad stays in the New York region. He's going to be a Devil next year. And some other signings that are not quite as big, but some still interesting. Madison Bowie to Edmonton. Josh Manson gets 6 years from Nashville. Hampus Lindholm to Toronto. Kadri to Buffalo. Nick Leddy to San Jose. That medium elite goaltender went to Chicago. So with that, who's still out on the market? We have the Champions tag right now, which is great. We have 2 roster spots before I need to move other people. And we have just under $10 million to spend. So Duclair's still out there. Riley Smith is out there. I'd love to bring back Kovalchuk, but I don't know if he's going to drop. Malkin's here too. So we could look. Again, I really do want to trust the youth. Craig Anderson's still out there. For defensemen, I mean, I can bring in a Matt Niskanen for 1 more year at 4.5, which is way more than he's worth. But at least it'll take up space. He'll take up space. We have no real plans to use him. I think the issue is, too, with some of these guys, it's like, I don't know if you're going to have spots on this team. So $10 million to spend. We could go Kovalchuk 7 and also bring in a Bjorkstrand or a Buchnevich. Okay. So let's just say it's $5 million here. Duclair makes it very close. I think I know what I want to do here. I think. And we're gonna risk it. I'm gonna try to sign Riley Smith for a little bit cheaper than what he's asking for. We're gonna go to Anthony Duclair. If everybody accepts here, I'm gonna have to make a move, but that's okay. We're gonna go 4.7 on a 1-year deal for Duclair. We're gonna go over to Bjorkstrand. We're gonna give him a 1-year deal at 2.5 and see if he's willing to accept that. And we're also gonna go to Buchnevich and see if he's willing to accept that. Now, obviously, I don't have the space to sign everybody here, but I need to sign players. That's the issue right now. I need to sign players. We need to hit the cap floor. So we're going to go back over to this part of town. And I think someone like Chase Howerluck may be on the way out. I mean, we have a lot of these guys that are fringe here. Let me look at Chase Howerluck. Howerluck I could trust on any line. Balsers I could probably trust on any line. Schlappick, not a great grinder, but a good third liner. Batherson could play on any line. Abramoff's more offensive. Oh, this is a tough choice. All right, Nick Camano, hate to tell you. I'm choosing Parker Kelly and Mark Kastelik over you. And then I think the low top sixes I really want to try for though. And we're not getting rid of Scott Saber, and he's a talisman. Let's see who accepts first, if any of them do, out of those contracts. This has proven to be a much more difficult negotiation period than I would have thought. Let's see what we have. Anthony Duclair is back in Ottawa. Bjorkstrand is here. Buchnevich is here. And wow, all of them signed. Okay, every single one of them just signed. I know we had exempt contracts, but still. So we are up to $76.7 million, which is exact. I am 38 grand over. So I'm at 76.7 in terms of what I'm allowed to spend, and the cap right now we're at 76.738. So I don't think I'm going to do anything drastic because of the 3.8. We're just going to wait to see what this team is first, because I'm going to have to move forwards off of this team to make room for defense. But Duclair, Smith, Bjorkstrand, and Buchnevich all just signed. There's a chance I'm going to bury some of them in the minors and move them. We'll see. The best course of action right now after those moves is to sim ahead to next season, finalize what this roster is going to be, and then take it from there. But we just got some of these guys on steals of a contract, for less than their asking price. So I'm very happy about that. Malkin and Kovalchuk are both just stuck there. You still have someone like Miles Wood, Berchke, Rodriguez. But all in all, Yeah, we're looking okay. We're looking okay. So let's sim ahead after we check the coaching staff here. I'll see where some of the other top players went as well. So let's see. We're good there, and we're on 19 scouts, which means we're good there. Perfect. So I might just have to reassign the scouts, but that's not a big deal. So let's take a look here, shall we? So other big moves. Olli Levy stays in Vancouver. Someone mentioned Mikey Anderson. The Anaheim Ducks successfully offer sheet Philip Zadina for a first, second, and a third, which is honestly a pretty good deal, although if they can't afford to keep him after, it's a mistake. Marc-Andre Fleury goes back to Pittsburgh, as does Devin Dubnyk. That's insane. Or he doesn't go back, but they also signed Devin Dubnyk. Mike Green and Carl Soderberg to Florida. Damn. There's been some crazy moves here. Pavelski goes to Detroit. Boychuk to Buffalo. Brown to Florida. Florida Panthers are going to be weird. Matt Murray gets a one-year deal from Edmonton. Boston with Lawton, Foligno, Strawman, Ryan Graves, indeed, off to Florida, as we know. So, some interesting moves here. I don't know if they're the right ones or not. We are going to find out as to whether or not we should have even trusted these forwards. I'm not entirely sure. So what I'm going to do is probably just take a quick look over this team and see if we made the right choice. It's really all we can do. So I am very intrigued to see what a lot of these forwards happen to look like, and especially if a lot of our younger players fit the teams. So as Jake McCabe is traded to Calgary from Columbus for a couple of prospects. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to jump cut it, and we're going to see what we're dealing with. All right, so this team took forever to establish, but I think we're at the point now where we're good to go. But before I can show you the team, I need to show you who is no longer on the team because trades were necessary. Henrik Hornqvist and Kenny Fair, who were two low top six forwards, have been dealt to Edmonton for a first-round pick. I wanted to try and develop them, being 70 and 72 overall. There just isn't space, unfortunately. They would have just been sitting here. It wouldn't have worked. We dealt Jace Howerluck and Nick Camano to the New York Rangers as well. Again, just no space for them. In a way, I was super tempted to just restart this episode because I wasn't sure if I was happy with the signings that we made, particularly with the forwards. But regardless, this is what it has led to. This is the team. Top line from last year stays the same with Tkachuk, White, and Lafreniere. Tkachuk now 23 years old, still a medium elite. Colin White now 25, and Lafreniere high elite 20 overall. So the one issue is that Colin White's not an amazing fit for the line, but he does all right. Alex Formenton has made the team. He'll be alongside Vladislav Nemestikov and Captain Taylor Hall, a +5 on that second line. Third line is where we see Anthony Duclair. He'll be next to Josh Norris, who has made the team, and Logan Brown. And the fourth line it's going to be Mark Kastelich, Parker Kelly, and Scott Sabourin. Defensively, it's looking pretty good. We have Jacob Bernard-Docker, who went up to an 84, for God's sakes, alongside Thomas Chabot, who still is a horrible fit with this head coach, unfortunately. Second pairing of a +5 is Mark Borowiecki and Eric Brandstrom, and the third pairing now Lassie Thompson and Max Lajoie, also a +5. So you see there, I think we made the right choice to trust that Bernard-Docker and Thompson would make the team. The goaltending is Kemper and Gustafsson, who is backup worthy. Healthy scratches of Ilya Lyabushkin, Pavel Buchnevich, and Ivan Prosvetov. So, of course, Prosvetov will get an opportunity if Gustafsson slips up. Now, Buchnevich is here as opposed to two of the other guys that we signed because he fits in best with this coach in case of injury. That brings us to the AHL. This is the Belleville Sens squad for this season. You have Shane Pinto, Drake Batherson, and Johnny Gruden. The thing to note here with Pinto, Batherson, Balsers, Naslund, you're going to see that they're depth forwards. Same thing as last year. So the question is, do you play them on the third pair in the NHL, or do you give them those top line minutes in the AHL and see what happens? Obviously, there's no room in that top six. And then signing Duclair, if we get rid of Duclair and Brown, we can call up two other guys if we want to. But right now it's a tough act between going with the best team we have or going with the best youth options that we have. That's why we've gone with the team the way it is. Second line is Justin Stepan, Ludwig Naslund, and Rudolf Balsers, now 25. Terrell Stock on that third line with Mika Vico and Richard Pilar. And the fourth line of John Bon Jovi, is what I'm calling him. It's John Bonvi, Philip Schlappick, and Vitaly Abramov. So these are two of the guys where it's like, yeah, I know, they're on the fourth line. It's for the sake of chemistry. These are the two of the guys that just kind of suffer. If I were to play them in the middle six, would they be okay? But you talk about the middle six, there's just no room. Like Logan Brown, he's not a perfect fit for that third line, but where are we going to put them? We could send down Duclair. We could send down Logan Brown and play them there. There's no real point in playing them on the fourth line. It's better to play them in the AHL. So you see the kind of balancing act as to why guys like Schlappick have been dealt, and as to why certain players are the low top six options were dealt as well. Defensively, it's interesting. We have Ben Gleason, who I signed as a free agent, and Jonathan Asperot. Cam Dineen with Johnny Tyconic. Nikita Zaitsev has been sent down. I don't know if this is the best move. He's a horrible fit with this coach. I figured, screw it, we'll play him in the AHL. I mean, we need his cap hit anyway. We also signed Marcus Phillips along with Gleason to help fill out that defense. The goaltender, we have Mads Sjogard next to Ashton Shaw. So it's a pretty good goaltending there. Scratches of Gwinnett, Bednar, of course, Riley Smith, Mika Kapanen, and Oliver Bjorkstrand. So in terms of this team, I mean, imagine if I didn't get rid of the low top sixes, they'd just be sitting here too. As it is, we have Smith and Bjorkstrand as healthy scratches in the AHL, which is interesting. But, if I want to, I mean, I could scratch Bonvi, who's probably not going to make it, and I could get rid of, Vico and Stock, I both kind of like. You see the situation that we have here. Unfortunately, with Bjorkstrand and Smith, they're not really a good fit with the NHL team. I can play them in the AHL, but it's a matter of who we're going to scratch. So those forward signings improve the team, but in terms of having the right amount of spots for the players and the team itself, it's, we're still just waiting to see who's going to carve out a spot on this team. So I don't know how I feel about it. It might have been slightly controversial, maybe to get rid of some of the players that we did or to bring in who we did. But at the end of the day, this team is at least set for the moment. We are at 76.7 in terms of the team salary cap. Again, our limit for this season was 76.7. So we're technically that .062 over, which is fine. So, yeah, that's where we're at right now. Let me know what you think. We'll get the season started in the next episode. The team's looking good. It's just, are we using the right personnel in each spot for both the NHL and the AHL? Have we made the right moves? Time will tell. But this team is certainly poised to potentially have regular season success yet again. So with that, you know the deal. Support the video, support the channel. Shout out to those of you on Patreon. Been slacking with the Houston stuff this week. I'm going to try to get it back on track starting tomorrow. Till next time, have a good one. Take it easy, and I'll see you all next time.